Welcome to Cross-Platform Podcast, where we discuss how to solve productivity problems across platforms. I'm Augusto Pinot.
And I'm Mark Elwicks, and there's only
And
one of
today,
me, but you're not seeing double. There are two Augustos here.
today we're playing with new hardware, and that's a little bit of what we're talking about in this new format. I, as a productivity coach, one of the things that I do is I play with hardware as a living, so I can help my clients how to use their products better. And that give me to play and test devices like the Apple Vision Pro. So what you are seeing, if you're seeing at the video, you are seeing me in the orange sweater. That's my live me with the goggles. You are seeing what the Apple Vision Pro call a persona. That is basically an AI generated version of me with glasses and everything. Um, it is a very interesting toy. Um, Part of the things that are coming from me, and this is one of the things we said we're going to change here in the show, is what's coming. One of the things that is coming is a website called Vision Pro Productivity. Because for me, all these devices is what can you do productivity wise, and I test this. I test also a couple of the AR that look like glasses. I have one somewhere in my office. Okay. But is this really something that can be used for productivity? Yes or no? It's too early for me to test. I have a week uh, working with it. But I'm going to say last night, one of the things that are very important for me is to be present for my kids. And that means I go to a lot of events. I drive them around to a lot of places. And that means all those skills that I learned as a road warrior many months back before remote work existed are still valid for me because my office could be turned in the side of a pool, in the side of a racetrack, in the side of outside of the school, waiting for them to be ready to come home. Yesterday, my daughter had the last swim competition. Um, so I was 2 hours on the side of the pool, and it was not really a competition. They played for 2 hours inside of the pool, and I was able to sit in there and have 6 screens, okay, surrounding me with the Vision Pro and a keyboard. And that's something that you can do with the iPad. You can do with a PC, okay? And it was very easy. I was able to put music. I was able to answer some text messages. I was coordinating something with my wife. So I have a browser open in here with a text message that I was coordinating with her. And I was working here in the center and all that. So it was very, very interesting right now. And I'm going to remove the goggles in a moment. But right now I can see through, so I can see where my iPad is in front of me. But on the top of that, I see the three people in the Zoom. And at the left, that's the reason of the introductory of the show. You are looking at me seeing this way because I have on this side the notes where the script of the how we open the show is. So is this technology full ready for everyone? No. Is this technology going to be a very good productivity tool? Yes. For the people who is waiting that this product comes down in price, that's not going to happen. Historically, Apple has never done that. Okay. The iPhone, and actually because of some of the comments, Steve Ballmer make a very famous comment and say, who is going to get a phone who has no keyboard, costs $300 or $500 and is tied up to a plan? Well, I think this history already answered that question, okay? Especially because today, on today's market, Samsung, iPhone, any high-end phone that you want, including the ones from Windows, okay, from Microsoft, are way more than 500 bucks, okay? And many of them tied up with a plan. But when you look at the Macs, when you look at the watches, when you look at the different Apple products, they don't come down. They stay where they are. They just get them better. Is this product for everyone? Maybe not. Is it still have a very heavy centric on entertainment? Yes, it does. I don't know how big is the screen when you put a movie. I'm a Star Wars fan, and I know the people who listen to us regularly knows that. I was able to watch this Empire Strike Back, that is my favorite Star Wars movie, on a screen that it could not fit on the vision of this guy. I needed to move side by side. I cannot express what that feels when you see Darth Vader in front of you, almost in real life, in the comfort of your couch. So, but I wanted to show at the beginning what the persona looks like. Some
Mm-hmm.
people have said it's creepy. Some people um, like it or don't like it. But it is interesting. It is very interesting how this person, and how, if you are looking right now at the video, you can see my eyes going up, my eyes going left, my eyes going right, going down. Okay. If I smile, okay, my smile is awful, but it's awful anyways in real life. But it does a really very good job with all the sensors replying, doing that.
It it's interesting because I'm trying to decide, looking at both of them both images at the same time, which is more. I don't want to say distracting, but that's the only word I can come up with right now. The persona has that uncanny valley aspect to it. You know it's not actually a video of your face at the time.
Right.
It's something other than that. And it does have a little bit of almost an AI vibe to it. When I look at the image though of you there in the goggles, it almost make that almost is more distracting than the persona
It
when I
is.
see them side by side, because I have no idea what you're engaged with at that point. To me, you're
Mm-hmm.
totally disconnected. You could be napping. I don't know. Um, so when I look at these two, it's like, okay, in a virtual environment like we are now, I think the persona's fine. The persona, there's a reasonable expectation of that level of engagement. However, if we were in the same physical space, I think I would find the goggles distracting.
Very
Even though
distracting.
you can see through, you can have that engagement, you can do your screen work and all. To me, it would always feel like a barrier between us with that goggle structure. So it's
It
interesting that you mentioned that.
it is. And let me now get out of the
Go
Zoom.
for it. So while Augusto is going through and doing that, um, it's an interesting concept of what he was talking about having the multiple displays, including the six display layout, because we've always talked about the benefits of having multiple displays or having large displays with multiple windows. And that virtual environment can be incredibly engaging and useful if you're working within that personal space. So to be able to have, your email up and a document up and a couple of browsers up and another application up, that can be extremely productive. Now, when Augusto's back in connected up here, I do want to ask a couple questions. One is, how comfortable is it for an extended period of time? I mean, is it something that you can wear for 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours? Or is there a time limit where it starts to get very uncomfortable? The second
I
is
have not.
really
I have
okay.
not. So I'm hearing you, but
Okay.
I so the battery lasts around 2 hours. You can work with the battery plug-in. I've done. I think the longest I have worked on it is around 3 hours, and not because of discomfort. Okay.
Okay.
It's just because that has been uh, the blog session. I change a lot of areas. I describe, part of what I do, the kids and this kind of thing. So um, because of that, I rarely stay in an environment 6 hours. Okay,
Okay.
and
That's
that
reasonable.
is that is a problem on that test. That said, I have not yet experienced any discomfort. I don't experience that it's too heavy. Um, I've been doing a lot of tests at night. And the only complaint my wife had, we were watching a movie and I was playing with it and I put another movie, okay, in the big screen. And I didn't notice, I thought I had the headphones. And my wife was like, turn the volume down, please. And I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
oops. Okay. And you can see, okay, they are, the only thing that they miss is artificial intelligence to look at and give you right now a warning that says your wife is very mad at you right now.
You need the little like dial indicator, the stress indicator, or
The
or a
stress
prox
indicator do not have.
or a proximity sensor for the incoming smack.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, it's a really fascinating device. Now, explain some of the basic mechanics of it. You've got the goggles. I noticed there's a cord that comes off of it. What does the cord connect to?
The cord is connected to the battery.
Okay, so that's just the power supply to it.
That's a power
Okay.
supply. This is a power supply. Okay. It gives you that around 2 or 3 hours, depending what you're doing. I can get a little bit longer because most of the work I do is text. So I have the things open. I'm sure if you put movies, that will consume a lot more power than what text do. But
Okay.
you can connect an external keyboard. Okay. You cannot type on the screen because this movement of fingers is not recognized. You need to click every letter. So
Oh, okay.
it's when you touch type, it's impossible to match. The speed is very, very frustrating, at least for me. But
Got
I
it.
got I had a external keyboard, a foldable one. Okay, that I can show on the screen. Okay, it's a
Hmm.
foldable keyboard, and I just carry that thing in the bag and just open it
Okay.
anywhere I go and
That makes
write.
sense.
Um, I've been describing this way. The first iPhone, you were very clear this was a beta product. Okay.
Right.
It didn't have the apps, it didn't have a lot of things. It was a lot more buggy than
Okay.
than to be ready product. Okay. It was an incredible product, but for the time, mean, okay. But you knew that the next generation's improvements were going to be abysmal. And I think it was around iPhone 4 or 4S when the iPhone was really, a full, very powerful
Hmm.
machine. The iPad, the first iPad, same thing. You knew that, and the iPad 2 came the next year, and it has the cameras. The cameras was, or the front camera, and it was an improvement. But it was really iPad 3 that bring that. Actually, it was iPad 3 with Retina what bring that. That was the moment that you have that glass in front of you with a resolution that at the time it was incredible. There are two things that are interesting with this product. This is the first product, at least to my memory, I could be wrong, that the Apple Care is the Apple insurance
Hmm.
program. Normally, they last 12 months. Okay, for Macs, for iPhones, for iPads,
Right.
even the AirPods is 1 month. For this product, they do 24 months. Sorry, 1 year, not
Okay.
not 1 month, 1 year. For this one, they did 2 years, so 24 months. That was very interesting for me, okay, because it's not common of Apple, and I do not know, obviously, if that means that they are looking to do a recycling or to get the new technology not in a 12-month cycle, but in a
Hmm.
24-month cycle.
That's
That's
what
one.
I would, that's the way I would read into that. I mean, if they're expecting these
That's how
things
I
to
read to
stay
that,
out in the
but again, I
wild.
have no, this is my interpretation, not that I have any knowledge. The second thing is it doesn't feel that beta. I have not
Okay.
crashed yet. I have no issues crashing. Um, so that is very interesting to me. The accuracy in appropriate light is incredible. when you go to darker light, the thing tells you this is very dark, low light, and the reason is it's reading what you do in the gestures with the hands.
Hmm.
Okay, I have told people who have asked me, do not do the demo in the Apple Store because it's very hard not to walk out of that thing with the thing in your pocket.
Okay. All right.
I did. Okay, I did. I went on a Saturday, tested, and I knew I was not going to buy it on a Saturday. I said, you can come back tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. to buy it, but you are not allowed to buy it on the day of the demo. And that's exactly what I did. I did ruminate about it all night, and the next morning I went and bought it.
Which is smart. It cuts down their return rates.
Yeah, no, Apple will have sold it to me. I just wasn't sure it was
Oh,
the
I thought that was
incredible.
something they were doing.
No,
That's
no, 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 no. That's
you
me.
were just being smart about it.
I was just trying to be smart about it. My wife will
Got it.
tell you that she knew that I was going to buy it no matter what. If I will have said a week, it will have been the same thing. That's what my wife
I
told me.
understand.
But it do not feel that better. All that I have tested, it works. I was concerned about the main applications that I use for work, and there was one that I use called Ulysses. It's a writing application, and they did not have it in a Vision Pro app, so I write to them, and they said, "Oh, no problem. We are testing the application, but it's not ready for the market. We can give you access." So they give me access. So I have everything that I use in there. Um, like with the iPad, when you move from the Mac to the iPad, there are certain things that take a little bit to get used to. Copy paste, it's a little bit different.
Right.
That said, I'm going to say do mind maps in that massive screen in front of you is
Oh, yeah.
incredible.
That must be
Uh,
neat. Is
that
there
is
anything like a whiteboard type of app or anything like that that's
there.
in that?
There is. There is. This is
Hmm.
the other thing that I admire Apple very, very much into this. They have been testing us, all of us who has Apple products, into some of the features they bring to the Vision Pro. So I'm going to
Okay.
give you a couple of examples. Okay, they
All right.
launched 2 years ago an application called Free Flow, where you can do exactly that. It's a whiteboard,
Hmm.
okay, and it's available on everything: Mac, PC, Mac,
All right.
iPad, iPhone. Okay, they brought it directly into that thing, with the difference now that you can interact with your hands on that, very, very massive size. Um,
Okay.
they they launched last year for the watch. Um, the watch has the I think the Watch 9 has the ability that when the watch gives you an alert, you can do this test. Okay,
Right.
and you can do the actions with that. Okay, this is the main movement that you do with the Apple Watch. There was a Vision Pro.
Okay.
That's how you select stuff. So they have tested that feature, already.
Well, that's
Um,
good.
the main applications are what you are used to.
Okay.
They are allowing um, developers who has iPad applications to basically do a very easy porting into this. It's not perfect, no. Okay, Scrivener, that is one of the apps I use. I have an issue going to the corner and select it, but I don't know if it's me, my
Okay.
eyes being weird, or what it is. I have an issue with my eyes all my life. Okay, that when I get tired, my right eye left. Okay, it gets
Hmm.
pushed off. Okay, it
Okay.
doesn't bother me. It doesn't, but I notice when I'm very tired. Okay, I have harder problems getting the Vision Pro to look at what I'm looking because I have one eye looking one way and the other one,
That's a
and the
very
sensor
valid
doesn't
point.
know. Okay, this was where I was surprised. There is a setting, okay, in which you can go and tell the Vision Pro, just follow my left eye.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
that would solve that
when
issue. Yeah.
it solved the issue, but I wasn't very, very impressed. I'm telling you that's something that I was actually very, very impressed because I was very tired and I was going to shut it off. And they said, let me play with this. And I was going to say, oh, and I put left eye, problem solved, because my problem is my right eye was tired. So
Okay.
it's been very, very, very well thought.
So let me ask you this. When you wear this out amongst the general population, what's the reaction that you've gotten, if any?
Well, so far, any. Last night was one of the first times I wear it in public. I have worn it in the car as I wait for my kids, but nobody, interact in the car.
Right.
Um, Last night was the first time, and a couple of people mentioned it to my daughter. There's a guy sitting there with some Vision Pro, some gold.
Oh yeah,
And my
that
daughter was
weirdo,
like,
he's
"Oh
my
yeah,
dad.
I know the guy. He's a weird guy."
Yeah, I can see that. I can see
But
that.
but the ability to really go into this very compact computer. There was a benchmark test that was done that was pairing the processor speed of the Vision Pro with a MacBook Air. That is very
Okay.
impressive for the size of this device. Is very impressive, and by the fact that you
Well,
can make these screens, it's impressive.
you think as powerful as smartphones are and as small as they are, that tech space has
Mhm.
really gotten to the point where, fitting into that goggle configuration or those smaller designs is kind of second nature to most of these companies anymore.
Right.
So making it fit and work is more a matter of refinement than it is breaking new ground. I mean, I
Yeah.
hate to say it that way, but it's true.
No,
Incredibly, it's not an incredible innovation. It's an incredible application of
correct.
various technologies. So that's really interesting. I'll be very curious to see as you keep working with that, specifically on work and projects and things like that. Not so much, Star Wars trilogy, uh, but more the
Well, I'm planning
where
to
does
work
it
more into that. I've just been very busy.
I'm sure. I'm just curious where you hit its strengths and its limitations, and how that helps you move forward with that. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, well, and I
Um,
can tell you, so far it's been getting that tired. And remember, it's still something new. So I need to, a couple of times it's happened. I can do this, and I
mhm.
know I can do it way faster in the iPad. And then it's, oh, hold on, let me set up the right eye up. Oh yeah, now it works again. So, but it's getting used to that, um, and I start using that.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's been very impressive. Um, and again, as I said, if Apple thinks, based on, again, my deduction based on the Apple Care, that the hardware is going to last for this one at least 24 months,
mhm.
okay, that means they're pretty confident that they can throw software into this very, very heavily. That will be very interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be very curious. Now, I do have to ask, what's the price tag range on that thing?
They start on 3,500,
Okay.
okay? The Apple Care, people has complained openly about the Apple Care, and I did too. The Apple Care is $500, okay? And I complained too until I realized that it was for 2 years. Because then it's
Okay.
$250. Then okay, it's 8% of the product. But I'm not saying it's cheap, but it was a lot more reasonable than when you think it's $500 a year. So it is not a cheap toy. It is a very expensive laptop. Um, and we will need to see what happened with other applications. You can get right now Microsoft applications on it.
Hmm.
Um, Work Excel, or, I don't know, or
Does it
as
run
Microsoft gives you.
does it run Mac OS or does it run like a variant of iOS?
I think it runs a variation of the iOS.
Okay. That would make sense. I mean,
Yeah.
especially in that form
And the
factor.
reason I think that is because it's more compatible. When you download apps, you can download Vision Pro or iPad iOS applications, not Mac applications.
Okay. So yeah, that does make sense. I get it then. All
Yeah.
right. Interesting. Interesting. Um, I'm going to talk about my side of the hardware piece for today. And then if you want to give us an update on your projects and things, and then I'll do an update on my projects. So we'll stay with the new format and then we can move it forward. It's interesting. I've been looking a lot at, from the hardware standpoint, this idea of Chromebook Plus
Hmm.
and the upgraded Chrome OS. And Chromebook Plus, if anybody's a Chromebook fan or has used Chromebooks, and I mean, they've been around since I think it was 2013 was the first ones. Um, 2018, there was like 60% of the machines purchased for schools were Chromebooks. I mean, Chromebooks have made that much of an impact. But there's been a while where Chromebooks have never really shed that low end, somewhat underpowered, fairly disposable device moniker. And the Chromebook Plus idea takes it to the next step. Say, can you take a Chromebook and really make it a fully powered machine, a true laptop level replacement? The other aspect of it too is long-term support, but I'll get into that. So the one I've been looking at from a comparison standpoint and review standpoint and all, Acer has, this is where it gets a little bizarre. They have what they refer to as a gaming Chromebook. Now, this one came out last year, so it's actually been around a little while, but it's a Chromebook that's running an Intel i5 chip, 12 core Intel i5, 4.4 gigahertz, 8 gig of RAM, 256 gig of storage, 120 hertz refresh on with a 16-inch screen in a device
Hmm.
that is about $350. Now, to get anywhere close to those specs on a PC, you're looking at a minimum of 500, if not more. The reason why I brought up the long-term support is any device that's a Chromebook Plus has, as per Google, 10 years of updates.
That is incredible.
So the cutoff date when you go into the OS on a device like this and you look, like this one in particular, has a cutoff date of June 2032 for updates. So you're talking a device that's going to cost you basically $35 a year to run. It's got multiple USB-C ports. It's got a headphone jack. Gotta love anything with a headphone jack still to this day. HDMI port. And of all things, it's got an RJ45 Ethernet jack in it. So it's really configured to be this beast of a machine, especially since it's designed for gaming. But from a productivity standpoint, from what I can tell, it just rips. It just rips and roars. So when I'm bringing this up specifically because what we're really looking at in this episode is two ends of this spectrum of high powered technology, something that's very new, very innovative, um, looking to find its applications and find its functionality and really get its feet under it. And then looking at some hardware that's been around or a technology that's been around for almost 10 years now and is finally starting to establish itself as a significant productivity tool. I mean, Chromebooks
Mm.
themselves, yeah, they're fine. You can go, you grab it. It's basically a browser with a keyboard. But now you're looking at devices that are intended to run comparable to full-fledged machines. And it's just an interesting mix in my book, trying to see how well they work, how well they fit into a productivity ecosystem, and how well do they play next to a powerful PC or an Android tablet, for example. How do they fit into this mix? And I got to be honest, I think this is a clean and easy fit. I mean, it's a very powerful device, but it's something that I mean, you're talking proposed around 11 hours of battery life. So it's an all-day machine. I mean, it's the
That
type
is
of
an
thing.
incredible thing.
It's a beast. Now, it's big. It's not a baby. I mean, you can see here, it's bigger than my head. Um, But you would not be mistaken to confuse this with a standard Windows laptop. If you looked at it just sitting next to one, actually, it looks like a big laptop. Um, so that type of thing you have to wonder is like, okay, does it really have that fit? What are you losing out on? Well, you're not running Windows apps or applications. Matter of fact, Microsoft has kind of done you dirty a little bit because a lot of the Microsoft Android apps won't run on Chrome OS anymore. You have to use the
Hmm.
web versions. You're not running in an offline mode. So while there are some things you can run offline, it's not the same as having, a regular PC for that. But again, I'm talking, a quarter of the price point of an equivalent PC. So it's one of those types of things where it's like, yeah, this is a really viable productivity option. It's the kind of thing that if you took it with you and it got destroyed while traveling or something like that, you might shed a tear, but you're not going to shed two,
Right.
unlike a large laptop. And you can power wash it and you can, it fires right up and it has sleep modes and everything else. And it has all the kinds of configuration you want. So I think this idea of the Chromebook Plus as a platform, if people are looking at expanding their productivity platform or maybe even just changing it, I think this is a very viable thing to start looking at. Look at these machines that are coming out as pluses and say, okay, what can it do? I will caution just real fast. There is in the Samsung ecosystem, there's a device called a Chromebook Plus, which is not based on the new Plus requirements and configuration. It's an older machine. It just happens to be a naming overlap. So just
Oh,
be cautious that you're actually getting something that says it's Chrome OS Chromebook Plus. That has a specific set of requirements. I'll dig up a link to those requirements, include it in the show notes so that if you're looking at devices, you can use that for your comparison. But it's absolutely, I think it's where Chromebooks need to go. It's the step they need to
hmm.
take. Um, the shine is kind of off the apple with Chromebooks, especially back in the education space because they've been abused. They've been abused badly by many students, and you wind up with stacks and stacks of dead Chromebooks, and they're so inexpensive that why fix it? I mean, it's a disposable thing, and we've talked about. I'll have to go back and look. I think it was episode back in the 80s or like 88 or so, talking about e-waste. It's one of those big culprits of e-waste because when it's cheap enough, you get rid of it. Well, it still has all that stuff in it. So, so
And
that's
it's a problem. It's a problem, and it's a problem. For my kids' school,
mhm,
my youngest. Okay, they give you now the Chromebook when you enter fifth grade. Okay, and they basically you turn it in, you turn it back when you get to eighth grade.
mhm,
Okay, and the idea is that at that moment they give that Chromebook, to the little kids to start interacting with Chromebook, and you get a new Chromebook every time you hit fifth grade. That
right.
is great. Okay, it's a way to last them, but the reality is, for what they do, it should be a much longer life
Well,
than what it
and
is.
for younger students, I'm kind of okay with it because we know how hard they can be on things. Uh,
True.
for people who just want basically a disposable device, I can also get that. So having, a limited lifespan, but you still wind up with this device that is completely functional, completely usable, but will not receive any more updates
Hmm.
through no fault of its own. And it's not just Chrome OS that has this issue. Windows has this issue too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Mac too. I mean,
But
Macs too.
there's a
Same.
point. It almost feels, I mean, with PCs, you can kind of feel the age creeping up on it. If you've got a machine that's been around a long time, you're a full Windows version back or two Windows versions back, you can feel the performance dip and things like that. You really don't notice that on the Chrome machines. It
Hmm.
feels like more of a, well, why am I getting rid of this? Because it works fine. but you're not getting any more updates. So
Well, and
it's a
actually,
balance.
you have share here in the show many times about the other Chromebook that you have that
Yeah.
basically you are replacing because the upgrades, not because the performance,
Yeah.
not because anything else.
I looked at the looked at my old Samsung Chromebook and I was like, okay, one of the kind of side paths that you have with Chromebooks is the installation of Linux and then running Linux apps on it and things like that. Unfortunately, that machine is old enough that I can't even do that. So I don't even have that as an option. And Chrome OS Flex, um, which is a great option for old PCs, you can't install on a Chromebook, which I think is ridiculous. I think that's
Oh, I didn't know that.
absolute. Yeah, you can't take this version of Chrome OS, which is designed to run on old PCs, and install it on an old Chromebook. Can't do it. So they've really
Wow.
kind of cut that limit to say, okay, when this is dead, it's dead. So, but that said, when you look at it at the higher level, if I was looking in a business environment or as a solopreneur or a contractor or something like that, a Chromebook Plus unit, yeah, it's absolutely a viable option. And especially, and this is kind of where I could see the setup nicely. If you had a desktop computer or a very high-end laptop that was your heavy-duty power machine that you didn't want to take out, you
Mhm.
didn't want to risk it. Well, you combine that with a Chromebook Plus and some remote access software. Now you've got your machine everywhere you want it.
Right.
And there's no hesitation then. So I think it's a really viable option for people, and I think they should look into it if they're looking at expanding into that space. All right. Um, any other questions on that before we dig into updates?
No, I'm very curious to hear your in a couple of weeks, how that machine is behaving, and
Yeah.
and do an update.
I've been going through and using it as the primary grab and go. Oh, I'll give you a quick update today. One of the things that I have found is nice is that because it is USB-C charged, I now have gotten down to the point where I have only one device that is not USB-C charged. So, and it's an old laptop. Everything else charges off of USB-C. So I have one charging cable that I need to use at my desk. It's a wonderful thing. I
It
can
is
just
a
swap it
beautiful
out.
thing. I
Oh,
I
I
have the
finally
AirPods.
reached charging nirvana.
Yeah, I have the AirPods and the phone that it uses still the Apple Lightning connector, and I have considered replacing them just so I have one
Uh,
cable.
I have my air shot or my open shocks, the headphones I'm wearing for this type of stuff, still uses the old micro SD
Mhm.
connector, but I got a converter for it. So I
Right.
can plug USB-C into it. And that's worthwhile investment right there. So if you want to buy yourself something, buy yourself a couple of USB-C converters, and you can buy yourself these little guys, which convert
Mhm.
USB-A to USB-C. Those are
Yep.
worth their weight in gold. I mean, you don't
I
have
I
the
agree.
crazy speed, but they're worth having.
Yeah.
Okay. Updates. You want to do your updates first?
Yeah. Updates. There's not a lot of updates for me. I revamp um, some of the stuff that are coming into Personal Productivity Club. Okay, as I said the last time, what I work with my company, Productivity Voice, it's going to come back to the blog, but it's not going to comments and all that is going to be shut off, and all the comment interaction will happen in Personal Productivity Club. Um, and the things for Consulting is almost ready to go live. That is my corporate arm for all things consulting for NASB. Um, I've been, for our Getting Things Done fans, I, I have read that book multiple times. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
read it the first time 2003, and I don't know. I think it's almost been once a year that I read the book again. And as I the business is transforming, and all this, I decide to normally read it towards the end of the year. I decide to read it early. It's a summer book for me, and it's always an interesting experience because you read that book and you know what you're going to read, and you still find paragraphs that says where this paragraph was the last two times. Okay, and I have
That's the one I skipped. Okay.
that's the one I skip. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a very interesting thing, and I recommend people have always done it who likes the methodology to read it again, because one of the things I said is productivity is like a spiral. Okay, you're going to pass the same problems all your life. What you're going to be is at different levels of evolution. The spiral that goes up or down, depending the
Yeah.
moment you ask me. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's the same problem. And one of the things that allows you books like this is to review your understanding. One of the things that with the new complexities that forced me to do was to really look into my project list in a completely different way, into how I'm going to look at these projects. Because with some of the things getting in the volume that they're going to get, I can spend the 2 hours of the weekly review. Okay, it will be a 7 hour weekly review that I can do.
Right.
So how do you improve those things? I'm testing a couple of things, but I have recommend people to pick what are those books that they read once and really change something significantly. And we all have them, okay? And they're not 100 books. Normally, there are six,
Hmm.
7 books, okay? That you read it and say, wow, bring them back to a list and make the point every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, whatever fits your speed of reading, to add them back into your reading and to reread them, because those books, they change for a reason your life or your way to think or your way to act. And
Hmm.
when you read them again, you now read them from a completely different perspective, and they're very, very important. So like getting things done, if you have other books that fit into that model, make sure that you are reading them again. Don't only keep on the memory. And some of them, you stop reading it. Okay, one of them was Seven Habits for the Highly Effective People. I read that book multiple times until there was a moment it's okay. I now graduate this book, and it's an old book now. It's a 30 years old book, I think. Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
book that now passed its time, and some of the principles has been improved by other realities. But until you reach that point, they change you for a reason, or they hit a big impact on you for a reason. Make sure that you are reading and revisiting them more than that time that they accomplished that.
Yeah, that's an excellent recommendation because it's so easy to forget that your context changes over time. The book itself is a static piece of information, but your perceptions of it alter depending on your situations, depending on what has occurred between the last reading and this reading. It gives you an entirely new, and it may be nothing more than just validating, but it is a different opportunity for you to either reprocess, reinforce, or relearn whatever that content is. No,
Mhm.
absolutely. That's a great recommendation. I've been working on three things. We talked about it last time about really focusing on simplifying down my note taking and information tracking. I've been living in my workflowy world with my tags or my backlinks and my mirroring and all, and that's working really well to the point where you have that itch every so often where you say, okay, I'm going to go try this other tool again, or I'm going to try that tool again. And every time I've done it, I'm like, but I can't do it this way. It works easier over here. So I keep
Right.
running back to that tool, which to me is always a great sign. If that starts to feel like a safe place, that's an excellent sign that that tool is doing what you need it to do and how you need it to do it.
Correct.
The second thing I'm working on is I've been going through the process of trying to enable Google Ads on my website. And I talked about this a little bit last time. So just for those of you who haven't done this in the past or haven't done this ever, it is an arduous process. It is a convoluted process. It is an unnecessarily complicated process in my book. But it's their process and you don't really have any choice. I mean, anything that involves mailing you a postcard for validation to me seems a little bit unnecessarily awkward in today's times. That said, got through the basics, got it set up, got it enabled. They went through did their validation, did their review, and then sent me an email saying, well, we're not going to approve it because we don't like your navigation. And for a good like half hour, I was seething. I'm like, who are you to tell me what my navigation should or should not be? And they give you no other clarification. They just say, yep, it's a navigation issue. Move on. I'm like, what the heck? So I spent a good portion of time looking at navigation within the site itself. And it did, for once my blood pressure came down, it did give me an opportunity to say, okay, maybe there's something here. Maybe there's an improvement I can make within this. And this is where I'm applying from the productivity space this idea of categorization and tagging around the content within the site. So now it's more of every piece of every article that goes in there has the correct category assigned to it, and you access them through category links. It's not a matter of this navigation, that step, this step. It's as long as you can hit the top, you can get to all of it. You can search by category. It's cleaner. I will give it that. I'm not totally sold on long term just because of the platform I'm using. Squarespace doesn't have an easy automatic category index, which would be really nice. So have a page that just lists all the categories. That's going to be a manual build, but it is something that I'm in the process of working on, and progress is being made. So we'll see from the analytics if that helps people find the things that they're looking for. I've seen good results so far in traffic wise. So if that works out, yay, keep going. The last thing is within the site itself. I'm just about ready to launch my online OneNote at Home course. I've got the basic pieces all in the place. It looks good. It's sharp. I'm going to make it available first through Personal Productivity Club. I'll provide the links there for people to be able to go in and sign up and go through and take the course. So we'll see how well that works. The course content was already kind of vetted through an email campaign and an email newsletter structure that I had a beta group of people sign up for and got good feedback and modified accordingly. So this is the next logical step. Where does this all fit in the conversation of productivity? Well, these are just a couple more chainsaws that I'm juggling in the air right now, trying to keep things forward. So it's so important to have that simplified process at the very beginning to keep things streamlined, to be able to make sure that things don't get lost and the progress that needs to happen on a consistent basis. And that's one of the reminders that I've had, not only with this stuff, but also with this show, is our consistency drives success when it comes to productive efforts. So being able to monitor and maintain that consistency is really key. So yeah, good things happening. Still frustrated with Google, but I'll get past that. We'll see if they approve it. If not, doesn't change the fact that the stuff is going in there. I'll get it up there eventually. It's just a matter of what and when and how. So otherwise, those are the big things that are flying right now. So
good. Well, as always, if you have more questions, want to interact with us, we have a channel in Personal Productivity Club, and you see, this is the pro. Your cheat sheet on the Vision Pro, and you shut it off so you can talk to you. Okay, I don't have my cheat sheet with me. Anyway, follow us and where you like to listen to podcasts. You can interact with us in personalproductivity.club. And see you next time from your favorite device. Thank you.